everyone, this week we will be starting the DC Siren makeup transformations. We're going to start with my absolute favorite, Catwoman. So start off by using a mauve neutral toned kind of brown to seriously sculpt out your face. We want very strong features and we're going to be adding a lot of black lines for detailing. So we're going to sculpt out everything to make sure it doesn't get lost in translation in those details in the end. Once we're at a point where we like how that looks and everything is detailed, we're going to go ahead and start mapping out the lines. Now this pencil is actually something that I get from all places, Lowe's. It is called a China marking pencil. It's actually by Sharpie. It's great because it'll stay on even if you sweat. It's actually what I use on my brows to do hair strokes on a daily basis. And it lasts a super long time, so it's definitely worth the investment. I will link it below. Moving on to the brows, we're going to go ahead and line the top and bottom connecting at the outer points. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some fine lines to the outer edges of the features of the face to go ahead and emulate that comic book pen stroke look. Next, I'm going to go ahead and focus on the eyes, and I'm going to do a very smoked out black and mauve kind of effect all over the lid, about 3/4 of the way up, and then just smudge and blur it out. I wasn't happy with the detailings on the face, so I went ahead and back in with that same mauve brown color, darkened up the edges of where those lines are on the face. Starting outside my inner corner on my eye, I'm doing a very thick and exaggerated cat's eye on the upper lid. I'm just going to point it upwards towards that outer point on my brow, and then I'm going to line the bottom thickly as well and connect those 2 points on the outer corner. Working with that same felt tip liner, I'm going to go ahead and line the insides of the points that we already marked, and I'm going to focus mainly on the outer points. Now on the outsides, you want it to be completely solid, so I start by making these little triangle points that point outwards and then filling in that outer half. And now in the front half, we're going to go ahead and create little hair strokes that start upwards at the front and then angle towards the outer brow as you get closer to that little triangle point. Now throwing in some contacts to change the effect, I'm going to go ahead and throw some extremely dramatic eyelashes on those top and some fine lashes on the bottom. And as you can see, I can't really do it on camera. I am not that skilled from a distance, so up close and personal it is. Now that those lashes are in place, we're going to go ahead and fully outline the mouth with that same pencil that we were using before. You're going to want to go ahead and exaggerate those top 2 points on the lip. And since we are going for more of a dramatic look, I've decided to also extend the outer corners of my mouth. Then using the same pencil, you're going to go ahead and shadow those outer points and also the line down the center for fullness. Next, we will go ahead and add a layer of a red lipstick, and to make sure that it is all sealed in and going to last throughout the day, I am tapping in a red eyeshadow on top of that as well. And to make sure that we don't lose that comic book feel on the lips, we're going to go back in, redefine a little bit of those black lines, and now they have something to sit on top of with that powder as well, so it's not going to bleed throughout the day. Now I'm tapping into some lighter coral powder to make sure I get that fullness effect and some white highlight lines as well to keep in theme with that comic book look. Moving on to the suit, I'm going to go ahead and work along my entire jawline edge, and I'm just going to work downwards, filling everything in nice and solid with that black. And moving up to the mask, you want to make sure that you have a good clean edge around those edges of the mask That is the most important part of this, and then just make sure it's nice and filled in very solidly. And I'm going to go ahead and blend it up into my hairline, and everybody pray for my shower later. Now it's time to work on some of those stitches. I go ahead and use a more watered down version of a white body paint to sit on top of this once everything is completely dry, and I start making those seam lines. You can add a lot of detail on these, but the easiest way that I find to do it is if you go over it more than once, it kind of creates a split down the middle, so it adds a little bit more of that detailing anyways. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because this is supposed to look like damaged areas as it is. Now going back with a more concentrated version of that white paint, once all those seam lines have dried, I'm just going to create some random stitches all over. And you want to make these going in different directions, some of them can overlap, but you want them nice and solid so that seam line stays back behind it. Now you could go an extra step further and add a shadow line to each one of these stitches, but I really wanted mine to match the way I had done the stitches on my headband. Working a little bit of black eyeshadow along that bottom edge of the mask as well as the top of each of the eye sockets to give that little 3D drop shadow effect, and your look should be complete. And here is that final look with the steps that we just did, but if you're feeling like it's a little bit too flat and you need a little bit more dimension in your look, you could go back in with this little bit of highlighter on all the little muscle structures and the higher points of each to kind of give more of a reflective look if you're looking for more of a muscle base. And now that we made it look like it's snowing in the studio, here is the final look of Catwoman of the DC Sirens comic book effect. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you'd like to see more comic effects, let me know below what you'd like to see next.
Oh my gosh. Wigs on the edges of your ears itch so bad. Huh? We are pros over here.